and kia ora, it's the Anzac Gamer here, also known as Angelite85, and welcome back to the Anzac Gaming channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the recent news, very recent news, it's only less than 24 hours, maybe a little more when I've done this, with the new PlayStation 4s being announced, so the new PlayStation 4 Slim, which is something we've been expecting for a little while. And the new, and this is where the big news is a new PlayStation Pro. Now the PlayStation Pro is what we all thought was going to be the PlayStation Neo. It turns out it's not the PlayStation Neo, or the 4K, because we actually originally thought the 4K was going to be just a 4K media playback device, just like the Xbox One S. However, they have come out and said, apparently, and for all the sources, all the news sources that I've gone through, they've said it's got 4K gaming playback. Now that is actually quite the surprise, considering we weren't expecting that, and that we just weren't expecting it, to be honest. So, looking at the spec sheet here that I've got pulled up, everything seems to be the same. We've got the same AMD Jaguar octa-core, which apparently has had a bump in its clock speed, so it's a little bit more powerful, which should give the whole system a bit of a boost in performance. It should allow the GPU to run better and a little bit smoother. We've still got the same 8 gig of GDDR5 memory. We've got a 1TB hard disk. We have a standard. We've still got the Blu-ray, but it's not ultra high definition, so that's a bit strange. HDMI output, optical digital output, 3 USB 3.1 ports. So they've actually upgraded to the new USB standard. Auxiliary port. Really? One auxiliary? Is that for headphones? Must be. Ethernet port, great. Built-in wireless, ABGN and AC. Standards, Bluetooth 4. Power supply is saying that it's AC 100 volt. I'm guessing that's the American and maybe Japanese, 50 to 60 hertz. Max power consumption 310 watts. Not bad. But let's get kind of the nitty-gritty on this sort of thing. They are claiming 4K gaming playback, 4K gaming, which is interesting. The thing that's really weird about it is we're dealing with 4K gaming, no Ultra HD Blu-ray support from what I've seen, so there's no 4K. You can't go and buy a 4K Blu-ray and drop it into your PlayStation Pro and have it play. It's not going to work. They did say they were bringing out the new Netflix app, which obviously will be for 4K streaming support, and it must mean that, and with the USB, the new USB 3.1, should be nice and stable 4K playback from media devices. Salute. But the thing that's interesting here is that they're talking about 4K gaming. Now, they are talking about it on 4.2 teraflop GPU. The thing I want to know is, on 4.2 teraflops, and okay, before I go any further, teraflops. The flops is actually the shorthand for floating point operations per second. 4.2 teraflops can actually be expressed as 4.2 trillion floating point operations per second. So that's what that is. That's how much it's anyway. The reason that this is weird is that if I go to another site that I have pulled up here with talking about my GPU, and my current GPU, which is technically it's outdated, but it's strong. It's strong like bull. Which is the R9 280. So it's a Radeon R9 280. It is a mighty powerful card. It falls in line. I found that it fell in line with the 960, and I bought it because it was $50 cheaper than the 960 at the time. But its peak computation, so its compute thing, peak compute, is 3.3 teraflops. The next card up from my 280, which is the 280X, is 4.1. Now, the Pro's GPU is supposed to be based on Polaris. Now, Polaris is the new architecture out of AMD to go in competition with the likes of the Pascal lines out of NVIDIA. So, the thing is, I know that my card is not capable of 4K gaming without me dropping things, all the graphical quality and everything out, dropping it down completely. I know that the 280 is not 4K capable either at our high settings. It has to be low setting. The only cards that I've seen that are capable are things like the R9 380s, the new RX 480, the new GTX 1070s, 1080s, the GTX 970. I do know that a 780 in SLI is 4K capable. So we're talking low numbers about 4K for the PlayStation Pro. So things aren't quite adding up. Now, if I were to go to really hammer home the whole point here, Project Scorpio is going to be 6 teraflops. If I go to the highest end current graphics card available, which is the GTX 1080, it is 9 teraflops. It is double the GPU of the PlayStation Pro. So here's the thing. They're saying 4K gaming, and they're saying that they've run it and tested on 4K, and it works on 4K. The thing I want to know is, at what frame rate are we talking? What is being sacrificed to get a stable frame rate out of that console at 4K? Because the RAM's fine. The RAM's going to be fine for textures. They'll be able to put 4K textures through that. But what lighting quality are we talking? What shadow quality we are talking? What particle effects are we talking? What quality settings are we talking here? What is being taken out? Smoke effects? Are we talking? What's coming out of that to get the stable frame rate? Or are we not gaming at under 4K? Do we what frame rate are we talking? 60 frames? Are we talking 30 frames? Are we even really talking about 4K? Are you guys actually doing some trickery there and actually upscaling? So, what's the deal? Like, how are they what frame rate? What graphical texture quality are we talking? What quality overall are we talking? Because something doesn't smell right. Because I know that PCs running 4K can't run games smooth in 4K on 4.2 teraflop GPUs. It's just not something that's, you don't get the best performance out of it. It'll smash 2K. 4.2, not a problem. 1080, not a problem in the absolute friggin' world. Will it have, and you could run 4.2 teraflops and you will get on full HD, ultra graphic quality, like out of my system, at 120 frames. I honestly think it feels like they've actually tacked on the 4K gaming side of things, or it may even be a misquote. They may have said, no, it's not 4K gaming, we're actually upscaling, and we're super sampling or doing some trickery there. But really, that 4.2 teraflops is for their VR setup, and pretty much anybody that knows anything about the VR at this stage knows that they need to be achieving 90 frames in the headset to avoid VR sickness. Because if they don't, the whole VR system is not going to work. It's going to be a dead duck. It like they've said, it will run on the current generation or the current PlayStation 4. So we'll call them version 1 and 1.2, or version 1 and version 1.5 for the 500 and the 1 terabyte. We will say that the new PlayStation 4 Slim is version 2, and the PlayStation Pro, we'll call it version 3 of the PlayStation 4, or we'll call it the VR King. But it's for, I know that they're doing a lot of marketing spin. The PlayStation Pro is for hardcore gamers. I would actually like to think that all the PlayStations, all PS4s are actually, all consoles are for hardcore gamers. I mean, real hardcore gamers have the big old behemoth that's sitting next to me, but that it is a gaming system for gamers. And the only thing that I can really see it having, at the end of the day, Project Scorpio that comes out next year is a 6 teraflop system. It's going to be from little snippets and everything that have come through. The Project Scorpio is not going to be what we think of as a traditional console. I honestly think that this thing is actually going to be a PC. It's not actually going to be a console. It will be a PC-like system. It'll play Xbox One, 360, but it'll also play Windows 10 PC games. It's going to have VR support. They've straight out said, we're going to have VR support on it. But when they were pressed, are you developing your own VR system? They've said no. So that means that it's going to have Oculus Rift support and HTC Vive support. And they've even said it'll have keyboard and mouse support, which means that this system is not, the Project Scorpio is not a console. It'll have a Blu-ray drive in it. It'll still play Xbox. As I said, it's still going to do all the console stuff. It's going to still do all the Xbox One stuff, but it's going to do PC stuff as well. And it'll be a simple box that just goes straight in, under your TV, or next to your TV, or wherever, and it'll just HDMI cable straight up into the back of your TV. It'll have your 4K gaming, and at 6 teraflops, it should do 4K 60 frames stable. And at a reasonable click. It should be able to do everything that a PC does, and it should, everything. So, at the end of the day, guys, I see the PlayStation Pro as kind of, I'm going to put it down to this. The only thing that's really going for Sony right now with the PlayStation Pro is they have their VR setup. It's a VR console. It is a console designed for VR. Don't even confuse it for anything else. It is a console that is going to have, and a lot of people probably think that I'm not a Sony, I'm an Xbox fanboy. Let me put it this way, I am a PC fanboy. I love my PC. I do not own any of the consoles. I haven't owned a console since my PlayStation 2, and I love that thing. To the point where I'm actually running an emulator on my system so I can actually play some of my classic PlayStation 2 games that I absolutely love. Sony have always, I think, in my personal opinion, had the stronger title lineup in them. The Sonys have always had kind of, I don't know what it is. They've always had something about them that's always been kind of special, I think. Maybe because that's after we had a Sega Mega Drive, we went to a PlayStation 1. And then I had the PlayStation 2, and then I ended up I had a Nintendo 64, I played with a Nintendo 64. I'm PC. That's what I am. I'm a Windows Linux guy. It's what I am. So, without dragging anything further on, the great thing is that this is what's really I honestly think it will do better than Project Scorpio. It will do better than the Xbox One currently is, and that is just for the sheer fact it's coming out on November 11th. It's the first console to market with 4K gaming. It is the first console to market with VR support, and it's the console with the stronger titles. I mean, come on. The most annoying and frustrating thing is that I can't play. I can now because I've actually brought out the PlayStation 3 streaming to PCs, but I can't play things like Heavy Rain. I can't play Last of Us. I can't play Beyond Two Souls. I can't play any of these really super story-rich titles that are only available on PlayStation. But then again, I just can't bring myself to buy a PlayStation 4 so I can play them. It's just the money anyway. So yeah, I've been the Anzac Gamer, also known as Angelite85, and I will see you next time. And do yourself a favour, go out, unless you're not 18 or over. And by the way, any Americans that come across this, legal age in Australia and New Zealand is 18 plus for alcohol. Go out and have a beer. Have one on. Just enjoy yourself. And I'll catch you next time.